Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Syndicate Discourse. It's been 2 weeks since we've been on last, and part of it was my birthday. Part of it was because I actually ended up getting COVID. So that's super cool. I was out last week. My birthday actually had COVID on my birthday, but good news is it wasn't too bad. I got a little bit of weakness, had a little fever here and there, lost the sense of smell and the sense of taste. But my girlfriend took good care of me, and I love her for that and many other things. Tonight, we are here without Nate, with Jared, with Seth. Well, Jared's not here yet, but Seth is definitely here. I need you to hit the like button, share this if you can. That way, we can get the signal boost that we need to get more people to follow the Horror Syndicate. And I'm doing better, I think. Good to see you, Alex. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Seth Ipu in. We're going to talk about Child's Play, the first three movies today. You know, this old chestnut. So we're going to talk about those movies, and we're going to. Hey, there he is. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, man?
So you had COVID the week before I did, and then I get it right behind you, basically. And we can't even interact in person, so it's not like he gave it to me or anything like that. It's just maybe through the
Well,
airwaves.
it's a new strain. You can transmit it through electronics.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. So how you been feeling?
I've been feeling fine. I got back pain for my birthday, so
Excellent.
it's pretty thoughtful. Life is pretty thoughtful.
Yeah, I mean, I get COVID for my birthday. My birthday actually turned out to be pretty good. 42 turned out pretty good. Mostly thanks to a special woman. I'm not going to embarrass her anymore. I don't know if I can embarrass her. She might be embarrass proof. Sherry. Anyway, so Child's Play. Did you see the Scream Factory set? This is the whole reason I got the idea. Keith is probably creaming his shorts over this. You got Child's Play 1, 2, and 3 from Scream Factory releasing in a nice box set, that action figure, the original cover art. It's pretty cool. So that gave me the idea to talk about this, because I can't remember if we've actually talked about Child's Play at all. Like, I know you said we've talked about it in passing a few times, but have we? We've never done a show on.
Yeah.
On...
I don't believe we have, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're doing it now, and we're gonna cover the first three movies, as I called it, a trilogy, because there's those three really go together, and then there's how many more are there after that? Four, and then the remake.
Four more. Yep.
Yeah. So I asked a question of our faithful audience, and I want to know. I'm curious to see if where does Chucky fall in the conversation of horror icons like Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees? Is he in the discussion? Would he make the Mount Rushmore? So let's dig into that first, if you don't mind, Seth. What do you think?
For me personally, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely I grew up with the first three, especially. I've seen all the movies multiple times. I'm pretty knowledgeable with this series as I am with Halloween and Elm Street and Friday the 13th. So for me, yeah, he's definitely number 4.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big Texas Chainsaw guy, and I think I don't know. It's a good conversation to have for sure. Jared is here. Yeah, hopefully we get an Elm Street box set. I've been asking for that for a long time. Jared, my darling, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
What's up, man?
Good.
It's been a few days too. I hear you.
Yeah. Hopefully you're feeling okay. I know you had the situation too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, what do you think, Jared? Where do you think Chucky falls on the amongst the other big horror icons, especially from the '80s, like Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers? And we want to hear from you in the comments also. Let us know how you feel about Chucky in general, or where he ranks among the elite. And I'm going to turn my fan on. Or don't say anything at all.
I don't know if Jared's trying to speak. Can't hear him.
Jared, we can't hear you. And you're not on mute. Nobody's kind of the tramp stamp of Mount Rushmore. That's pretty funny. So, what, Jared? Can you get in on the conversation or not?
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you. We definitely want to hear what you have
now?
to say. Yeah.
I was trying to plug in my earbuds, so that might have been why it knocked me off. That's
Okay.
well. So like in comparing them to the other, big three, I don't know, maybe 4 franchises, it unfortunately sits kind of low. Like I even value the Hellraiser franchise and that as a whole larger than Child's Play. And that's not to like diminish those movies at all. It's just completely personal preference at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably, like, you guys know me, I'm a Jason guy, so I'd have to go Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers, then probably Pinhead, and then Chucky after that. I mean, but I kind of overheard you guys talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I feel like that should be in the list to me, but I don't see it as like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah, and we want to hear from you out there. Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore?
That's a good question. Your Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, your Mount Rushmore, which is 4 horror icons. I mean, I feel like 3 places are already taken up by most people with Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers. It seems like Scream Factory's really. Jared, did you see this the other day? I pulled it up earlier, but the Child's Play set that's coming out with the first 3 movies.
Yeah. And I do have the yellow box set that brought out the whole collection.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't. Were the last other movies, were they not done by the same production company? Is that why they're doing that? Because
I guess not.
I wondered why, like when Arrow, they did theirs, they only did the first 3 Hellraiser movies. They didn't even do any of the other ones. And those are all Dimension movies. So I don't know what the deal is with that.
Yeah.
Well, not Hellraiser. Hellraiser 1 and 2 were, I forget. I think New World Pictures. Hellraiser 3 was Paramount, and then Hellraiser Bloodline was the start of Dimension Miramax taking over.
Okay,
and so that's why Arrow didn't release that. You can buy.
I guess that makes sense. Was New World? Did that eventually change into New Line?
No, that was something different. I think it was called New World or something like that. It was more independent, more of an independent company.
Yeah, it definitely was.
But
yeah, I remember
when you guys brought up, Texas Chainsaw and Hellraiser. Now I'm a huge Hellraiser fan as well, and the only reason why I would choose Chucky over Pinhead is because the Hellraiser franchise, with the exception of 3 and 4, they weren't really about Pinhead and the Cenobites. And after 4, they were more like individual stories. And with Texas Chainsaw, there's no consistency through that series too. Mm-hmm. And the only reason why I would say Chucky, the Child's Play franchise, is better is because it is one massive storyline. They've never had to, they never started a new timeline. And they're all from the same.
They did.
But no, technically not, because that was a legal loophole because MGM owned the rights to the first Child's Play. So it wasn't like Halloween or Texas Chainsaw where they needed to, they felt like they needed to start fresh. It was Don Mancini was still going on with that with his franchise, but because of the situation with MGM owning the first movie, because basically, if you don't know, like MGM, they put out the first movie, then they had a regime change, and the person who came in didn't want to do horror anymore, so they took Child's Play to Universal, and Universal's been doing them ever since. So because of that loophole there, MGM was able to pull off a remake. So it wasn't really necessary. You know what I mean? It wasn't part of a great plan. What I'm trying to say is like the Child's Play franchise has all been from the same writer, Don Mancini, and his producing partner have been at the head of Child's Play. It had a consistent voice throughout. So I think it's a much cleaner franchise than Texas Chainsaw or Hellraiser.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when Cult of Chucky came out, what was that, 2018? Something like 2017 maybe? And they announced they're making that remake. I'm like,
yeah.
Why? This feels super pointless, you know, and I didn't know the legalities behind it all because, you know.
Yeah, I know. I remember reading about Don Mancini not being happy about it because he was still, at the time, it was before I think he was playing on a TV show. He was playing on another movie, and it's kind of like stepping on his toes doing that. But, you know, what are you going to do? MGM legally owned it.
Yeah, and then they announced the show, which I still haven't watched. I know you watched it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. There was something setting weird on the headphones on the laptop. Sorry. Go ahead.
You good to go now?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, so I don't know. It had confused me when they announced that show, and I don't know. I still haven't gotten around to watching the show, and I don't know if I even will. Was the show worth it? Has it been worth it?
Oh yeah.
And you have to be caught up with the movies too, right?
Yeah. The show is really good. I would recommend it. Like I was worried that they were gonna like water it down because it's on TV, but no, it's good. Chucky swears, it's violent, it's good.
Yeah, I'd like to watch it at some point. I just don't know. Something about that kind of bugs me, I guess. It's like if you're like when I watch like if I want to do a marathon of the movies, it's like, you know, that's an hour and a half per movie, 7 movies, and then I got to go watch. How many episodes is it?
Shit, I don't remember. I think 10, maybe more.
That's a super binge right there. You know, that's okay.
And they're like, yeah.
What?
I was going to comment on their length, but I don't remember if they were short or not. I might be getting confused with something else. So sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I probably should. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Child's Play series. You know, again, I grew up with them in the 80s, late or early 90s, and I can't I'm trying to remember. Like I was talking about this earlier, but I can't remember if I had the first one or not, but I know I had Child's Play 2 and 3 both recorded on the same tape. Like they were on Cinemax or HBO or something like that, back to back, and I was able to catch both
USA.
of them. No, it wasn't USA, but I know I've seen them on USA before. It's funny you say USA because the person I was talking to earlier said the same thing. They saw one of them on USA. I think it was 2. I can't remember. If you're out there, comment and let me know which one you saw on USA. Anyway, yeah. So out of the 3 movies, we're gonna start discussing these in a minute. Most people will say that the second one's the best. What do you guys say?
Jared?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first. I still lean towards the original one. The second one is really good, and it's a really nice continuance to the story in the first one. But I won't go too much farther until we get down into the meat and potatoes of the discussion, I guess. But yeah, I still enjoy the first one the best, I think.
Watch the show Ozark. I've seen most of it. first is the best, and yeah. So down the line, I can't deny that the second one is probably the best of the three. But I feel the same way. The first one to me, there's so many great scenes, so many great lines. Aunt Maggie's a bitch and all that, and the scene where Andy's mom finds out that Chucky is, the batteries aren't in him and all that. That's just great stuff, But we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm trying to feel all you guys out, feel where you are on all this, and again, in the comments, I want to hear from you guys the whole show. If you're watching, be a part of the show, because we love to try to answer anything or comment on anything you say. Sherry Donjon, the first movie was the first horror movie I'd seen. I thought it was Elm Street. Your dad locked you in the basement or something. I had ever seen. I'm sure I was being a brat at 4 years old in the movie rental place, throwing a fit because I wanted to watch a movie about a doll. I had no idea what I was getting into, and my dad forced me to sit down and watch the whole movie. I was horrified. Yeah, I've heard that story. It's good. It's a good story, though. Yeah. You guys remember seeing the first one for the first time?
Me particularly, no. I actually saw it later in life.
Yeah,
not as a child.
I can't pinpoint when I saw the first one. I do remember when I saw the second one because we rented it on VHS along with some other horror movie. Because back in 1991 or whenever it was, my mom would go out and plop us down in front of the TV with some horror movies. I was 11, so I was okay with it. But the first one, I don't remember. I know I saw it before I saw the second one because I wanted to see the second one whenever we rented it that night. It may not have been a horror movie. It may have been Young Guns 2. I'm thinking of, actually.
Great flick.
Yeah, I love Young Guns 2. Both of them are great. There should have been another one. But anyway, so Seth, you didn't answer the question. First or second one, which one's the better of the two?
I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of the second one. It's my favorite of the franchise. It was the first one I saw. I mentioned USA earlier. That's how I watched them when I was a kid. 2 and 3 were always on USA.
Always.
Me and my brother Brett, we would always watch them, and I had my buddy doll at the time, so it extra scared me. But yeah, I love part 2. I love I love the first one as well. I think the first one's great. It's very suspenseful, and I think it's probably the first one's like the better written out of all of them. But part 2, one of my favorite scenes in the franchise is Chucky coming out of the closet in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that low angle shot, and then later on the whole factory scene and him ripping his hand right off and sticking the blade in the stub. I love it.
Yeah. The factory scene, and when we get to the second one, we got to get to talking about the movies because there are some things about the second movie, like the score, for instance, I think was a little bit better.
Yeah.
There's things like that, and also the opening. But so the opening of Child's Play, the first one, we all know it's Charles Lee Ray being chased by Jerry Dandridge. Dude, the first movie made me say "fuck you, Cobra Commander." Why? Am I missing something?
Is the voice of Cobra Commander from G.I. Joe somebody in that movie? I don't know.
Brad Dourif.
Enlighten us.
Yeah, let us know why. I'm curious. Anyway, yeah. So the first movie. Let's talk about the first movie. We've got about an hour to talk about all 3 of these movies. So, first of all, is this a top 100 horror movie? Top 50?
Yeah, why not?
I'm just asking. I'm just asking. I would say
that was my answer. I wasn't being condescending. That was my answer. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, I didn't get that from it, but oh man, there are so many fucking good movies out there, and that's what's so hard. Like because we're basically students of horror film. We find and consume anything horror generally, in our group, and it's funny that like we do top lists of like the decades and top lists of like that stuff. I don't know if I would say yes on this moment, but if I actually sat there and made a list, it'd probably be in there for now. But it might be bumped out, I guess.
Did I show this? I don't remember. The second movie got me as a kid. I think the opening. Yeah, I want to get into the opening. Okay, so Seth, I want you to lead the conversation on the Chucky movies because you're the bigger fan of the three of us. I know that for sure. I mean, I like them, but like let's get into the first movie. Let's talk about it. What are some of the things that really stick out for the movie besides Aunt Maggie being a bitch?
Oh man, put me on the spot.
I'm sorry.
Fuck, I don't know. I guess for me, what one of the things I really love about the first one is how patient it is for a good chunk of the movie. It's very suspenseful. You don't see Chucky full on, and there is that wonderful moment, like you mentioned earlier, where she checks the batteries and then his head turns around, and he says, "Hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play?" And I don't know. It's full of great moments like that. It's got good characters. I like Detective Norris, played by Jerry Dandridge, and I like
Humperdinck. Sorry. Go ahead.
Man, I'm not prepared to lead a conversation in anything.
Well, you're touching something. One of the things I talked about earlier was like some of the weird things about the movie that like Andy walking around with a doll in downtown Chicago by himself, basically going to help Chucky with his revenge. I always thought that was kind of odd that nobody stopped to look. Hey, this kid's all by himself. But yeah, I also liked how the mom didn't believe, and she was kind of like at the same time protecting her son, and the fucking what's his name, Jerry Dandridge. I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Chris Sarandon. Yeah, I like how like dismissive he was of all of this. It's a doll. A doll can't do all this shit. But yeah, it does build up really great to that scene where she's actually, when she's about to throw him in the fire and he fucking flips out, is one of the best parts of the whole series, in my opinion. Yeah. I love that part.
Yeah. I really like because when people talk about Chucky, because the Child's Play franchise, it requires you to take a leap of faith, right? Mm-hmm. And some people just can't get into it. Some people are just like, it's a fucking doll, we can just kick it. But one of the things that I think the first one does really well, especially, is how they really kind of cement the terror behind it by having the audience know that Andy's telling the truth, but no one around him will believe him, and all this shit is happening. And I think it really kind of put Andy in danger too, and I think that added to some of the intensity of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good point. Yeah, because and it's, I love that how old was he? What, 6?
6, yeah.
I mean, who's going to believe a 6-year-old kid? How many 6-year-old kids said that their doll did it or what? You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of a good thing too about the movie.
And the exposition at the beginning, like before he gets his birthday present, when he makes his mom this outlandish breakfast in bed with
burnt toast and
with marshmallow cereal like overflowing, and I made you breakfast in bed. No,
no, you made
lying,
a big
little man. Didn't help his cause because yes, he's a simple little man.
Yeah. I always did like that part also. And
very endearing, don't get me wrong.
Well, I also like that it's his birthday, and we're going to try to figure out part 3. We will. But I like that it's his birthday, and his mom gets him this box that is the fucking shape of the Good Guy box full of clothes. And first of all, how many of you out there remember the sting of getting fucking clothes on your birthday when you were a kid.
Socks?
Really? I mean, fucking jeans.
Been there.
What is, you know, for me, it was like, it was soul crushing to get, you know, a new pair of shorts for my birthday or whatever. But yeah, like, and that was one of my favorite things, is like that box is the size of the good guy doll. And like, he thinks, like, Andy thinks it's that doll the whole time. And he opens it up and it's a fucking pair of pants or whatever it is. And she's like, oh, good, I think these will fit. I'm like, you should know his size. Why would you worry about if they'll fit or not? I don't know.
Do you not buy him clothes regularly?
Right. Yeah, I know she's a single mom and everything, but Christ, you know, you should know your kids. Well, I take it back. I don't know what my kids are wearing these days.
Well, I kind of took that as, you know, because she was a single mom and she was poor. You know, she was living in poverty. I think she even made a comment about how he'll grow into him or whatever, you know. So it's like she's like shopping at Goodwill or whatever for her son's clothes for her birthday, you know. I mean, her whole thing was like she was feeling guilty anyway for
she knew she
not
couldn't
being able to get him a good guy doll because he really wanted one.
Is this okay? It's the only picture I have up here for Chucky, Sherry. Said she was disappointed. I'm not being a good host again. Let me look up pictures of Chucky. Anyway,
I was gonna say we could have Dennis Quaid and what's her butt from Jaws 3, and I'd be fine.
I mean, I do have that. I'll never not have that. This one here.
Ooh,
pit stains.
Pit stain.
No, that's not good enough. All right. Continue to talk. I gotta find a picture of Chucky.
No, I think Seth hit the nail on the head. Like the first 30 minutes is like a nice little slow burn and ease yourself into the story. Like you genuinely feel for the family. Like it's, you know, she's a mom. She can barely take off time to, you know, hang out with her son on his birthday.
Yeah, or even buy a present.
Yeah, can't even buy a present. She comes across this fucking hobo in the street. Like, you want a good guy doll? Well, how much you got? How much you want for it?
It doesn't even try to get sex from her.
No, but her Maggie mentioned something how she thought she dated him once.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit. That's funny. But yeah, it's like you know you're in dire straits if you're willing to do backyard dealing or backdoor dealing for a toy for your child's birthday, you know, just to give him what he wants. Like that part of the movie was really endearing. So you already have a sense that, you know, you kind of care for these guys a little bit. And like Seth was saying, you know, you got this slow build up where you only see things move. You know, you see the doll's head kind of turned in a direction. Oh wow!
How about that?
That is a terrible one.
How about
That's
that?
even worse.
Yeah. Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Any of these work for you, Sherry? Let me know.
It was very subtle and in all the right ways at the beginning until the reveal where he's gonna fuck you all up and maybe cut your ankle off. I wait for that scene in the stairs all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things we should touch on are some of the kill scenes in this movie. I mean, there's some good ones. One person mentioned Eddie Caputo in that whole scene.
That was a neat thing too. Chucky had a whole kind of mission in this movie, getting revenge on certain people. Eddie Caputo for leaving him behind, the guy who taught him voodoo because he wouldn't help him, stuff like that. I also love. I think one of my favorite scenes though is like I'm pretty sure it's in this movie. Yeah, in the elevator, like this old couple's like, "That's an ugly doll."
Oh yeah, and yeah.
You say, "Fuck you."
Fuck you. At least he's got something of a sense of humor, I guess. I don't know if you could call it that. The whole voodoo aspect of him being in the doll was different. Okay, one of the things I thought about that I want to talk about, there you go, is the I don't know what to call it. Like over the course of the movie, his face changes quite a bit. That's one of the as he like is in the body more. The toy body actually becomes more human like, which is something. Did they not do that in the sequels as much as they did in this one? Because
No, I mean, and I think, like at the end of part 2, there was that one point where he has Andy and he's trying to do the chant, and then his nose bleeds and he realizes that he's too late. But they never visually did it with his features like they did in the first one.
Yeah. All right. So Sherry brings up, but we talked about this earlier actually. Brad Dourif's laugh and his voice as Chucky. How fantastic is Hi Tita.
Yeah, I mean, it goes from ha ha to the most sinister.
Kind of cackling. Yeah, he's really wow. He does pretty good, Jared. Yeah, I think I think that's one of the best things about Chucky is his voice. Like even Robert Englund as Freddy, his voice is something like because again he has to have a voice where guys like Michael Myers and Jason, even Leatherface, don't really talk. And Chucky, he talks and he talks a lot. And Brad Dourif, his delivery and his voice, and I like where he can go from being kind of like pleasant, like when he's trying to get Andy to do things, to very terrifying all in the same time. And then yes, that laugh is fucking fantastic in my opinion.
It's very sinister.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Hamill did a fine job with what he had in the remake, but there's absolutely no replacing. It's almost like Robert Englund. Is you can't have somebody else doing that voice. Chucky's voice.
Mark Hamill did it in the remake.
Yeah, yeah. And Mark Hamill's a master.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got a good Joker laugh, so I mean, it would stand to reason that he would have a good Chucky laugh for sure.
Yeah. And that's one of the cornerstones, in my opinion, of this. It's not just the Chucky look itself. It's the look. It's not the look itself, but it's also the voice and the laugh that the performance that Brad Dourif's able to do, without even being seen, almost like James Earl Jones as Darth Vader. I don't know. What do you think, Seth?
Yeah, that's like one of the big appeal for this series is that it has Brad Dourif and he has that sadistic voice, but like he also he has like sort of like he can do Chucky as in a sort of like a bullshitting type of way.
Yeah.
I know you haven't seen the show, but there's like one point in the show where he's like trying to convince this kid that he's cool and that he didn't kill someone. And like just the way he's talking is just like so natural. He's like bullshitting, but then he can just flip it like that and just be the sadistic mouthpiece that he is. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think I honestly don't think I could think of see anybody else or hear anybody else doing it. And the remake's a totally different situation because it's a totally like you said, it's not the same universe as the Brad Dourif. Like if they tried to just replace Brad Dourif, I don't know that would work. Good point, Sherry. Anyway, we got a couple comments. Let me check these out. I was looking for images for part 3 or part 2. It's funny because they need bits and pieces of Santeria and Pollo in the movie. Chucky and Freddy and the best shit talking. Yeah, they are the best shit talkers. I think the remake's worth watching. I saw it in the theater, and I had a good time with it. It's nothing like the original. It's absolutely nothing like the original. I guess Jared hasn't seen it yet.
I have not. I haven't. I have the ability to watch it. I just still have. There's so many movies out there to watch that
That you'd rather watch? Is that what you said?
No, not that I'd rather watch. It's just like I have a list, and
like a backlog.
Yeah, oh yeah, total backlog. And sometimes things get bumped up to the top or get prioritized a little bit more, and it just kind of stays where it's at. Like I don't jump to it. And it's not for not of wanting to. It's just like I said earlier, we're always watching new stuff, and there's too many things and shows, TV shows to watch. Apparently,
Yeah. So let's dive into the end if you don't mind. When first of all, Andy's mom finds out about Chucky and believes Andy. Andy's nowhere to be found. Actually, doesn't he go to? He gets taken to a home at one point, doesn't he? And then Chucky has to find a way to get him out, or is that the second movie?
that might be the second one.
I might be bleeding them together.
Yeah. Oh man, I do too sometimes, man.
Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of difficult not to do, but I think first of all, I love the way he looks here. After he's in the fire, you kind of want to listen to that song by Doc and Into the Fire.
Look at my eyeball.
Yeah, he looks so great there. So talk about the ending.
What about it?
I'm throwing you onto the bus today.
Wow. No, the ending's pretty cool, especially Andy. When he lights the match, he's like, "This is the end,"
And, yeah.
It's really cool.
Andy, I thought we were friends to the end. Yeah, I like that.
And then the at that point, Detective Norris already kind of knew what was going on, but his partner kind of got to see it too.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they never really did anything with that going forward.
No.
A throwaway line in part 2 about how they kept their mouth shut. But it was a satisfying conclusion. And it's wild too. Just it's pretty obvious now, but like if you watch the special features on the Blu-ray, just like how they made it, enlarged furniture and a little person in a costume, and just I don't know, it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that making the movie. Didn't they have like a robot doll at one point? And then I know they had a little person for some of the like running scenes and miniature furniture. It's really crazy. I think the Scream Factor blew.
I want to say it was the guy that did Howard the Duck, right?
Yeah, I think so. He did a lot of parts.
Bob Gale, I think. His name.
Bob Gale. That sounds familiar. Maybe not Bob Gale, but something along those lines.
No, I think it was. Yeah, that's his name. I think. I'm pretty sure he did the body double of Chucky in the first one. I don't know about any of the other ones.
Yeah, when Andy is taken to the facility and the doctor comes in to examine him, and then Chucky kills the doctor, right? That's in the first movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
and
what
then Andy escapes.
Yeah, well, there's a similar scene in the second movie with the redheaded lady when what's her name? His foster sister,
Kyle.
Yeah, when Kyle brings Chucky back, yeah, there's a kind of a similar scene to that where they needed to break him out or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Ed Gale, not Bob.
Ed Gale, yeah, we had the last name right.
Bob Gale's a writer, but yes.
Yeah, Back to the Future.
Yeah, right. Maybe it was Bob Gale. Who knows? Maybe he moonlighted as Chucky, back in the old days. You never know. There was some lean times between Back to the Future 1 and 2. Let me ask you guys this. Do you go like Back to the Future 3 or Back to the Future 2 better?
2, 1,500%.
I mean, I like both of them, but yeah, 2 is much better. And that's for any of you out there that want to answer along with us, because I always like to. I like hearing from the people watching. So if you're out there, always say Back to the Future 2 or 3, and of course the first one. There's no question.
No.
All right. Any final thoughts on the first Child's Play before we move on? I know we probably missed some things. We're skimming over a little bit because we're doing all 3 of them today.
I mean, who didn't want to know who won the World Series in 2022? Because we still don't know yet. We still don't know yet.
Yeah, well, we know who won.
What do you say? The Cubbies did it?
Yeah.
No, that was the reference. That was the old one.
The Florida team beat anyway.
Yeah. And Jaws 17.
Yeah, in 3D, wasn't it? Yeah, Back to the Future. Okay.
Definitely.
So, anything else you want to say about the first movie before we move on, Seth?
No, I mean, I wish I was a little bit more prepared for this, I guess.
I know it was kind of a spur of the moment thing because I wanted to have a show today, but I couldn't think of a topic, and we were like, so Nate's doing this thing, a directing class, I think, and he'll be out for a few weeks, so we kind of like all of our schedule has been put on hold for the most part because there's a lot of stuff on there he wants to do. Like we want to talk about the movie Carrie. We're going to talk about the Lost Boys towards the end of the season of summer, I guess. And I've decided we're going to make that one full episode of the Lost Boys, and we're not because Near Dark's boring. So let's move on to Child's Play 2.
Nathan Thomas who?
Huh?
Nathan Thomas who?
No. Anyway, Child's Play 2 has one of the best openings of any horror movie ever. Agree or disagree?
Is that the factory belt scene? And
that's the one where they're rebuilding him like that. You see it on the screen. They have to scrape all of the melted plastic off of him, and they're basically rebuilding Chucky. I still don't understand why they have to do that. Like, I guess they want to take the doll that was possessed, because of course the company doesn't believe that, and and show that everything's okay with the doll. They replaced everything except for the metal skull or whatever.
Yeah, they didn't want to take any responsibility, so they were trying to see if someone tampered with the voice box.
That makes sense.
I
do wish I was more prepared because this is probably the least watched one I've seen of
really
those three.
I feel like I've seen the second one the most.
The only reason I've seen part 3 more is because of fucking USA. Always on USA. God bless America.
I wonder if I can find something with Child's Play 3 on USA. The little USA logo at the bottom of the screen, So anyway, let's talk about Child's Play 3 or 2. I'm kind of excited to talk about 3 because I may be the only one that actually kind of likes 3 a little bit. So anyway, the opening scene, Seth, you didn't answer. It's got to be one of the best, right?
It's really good, as the credits are playing and they're just showing like close-ups of them cleaning up the body. I mean, I don't quite understand the
logic,
how things happen, why there's a sudden surge of electricity in Chucky's back, but it doesn't matter. It's a really good and effective opening scene, and it just gets better from there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I first of all, the score they use over top of that is really great too.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I remember about that. When I rewatched the series a few years ago, because we may have talked about this on one of the other shows, Jared, if you remember. But I remember like that hearing that score again for the first time since the 90s, because I did after. You okay? after
is that a sneeze or a cough?
That was a snuff. After seeing Seed of Chucky, I was like, fuck this series, it's dumb. I've outgrown Chucky. But then rewatching it a couple years ago and kind of trying to take a more serious look at these movies, I'm like, man, the score at the beginning of 2 is so fucking good. And I like the opening scene. I don't understand the electrical surge either. That almost makes it seem, well, could the spirit of Charles Lee Ray be within the electronics of that? I don't know. It's hard to explain. I mean, if you have an idea, let us know.
I mean, let's not think too hard about it. I mean, Jason was resurrected with lightning. So
yeah, I was just thinking that too, Seth. Jesus be a lightning rod.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but that movie is the best. So moving on.
Second best.
So why?
Second best.
What makes Child's Play 2 the best, though?
It could be a little bit of bias, right? Because, like I said, I watched that one a lot when I was a kid. I loved it a lot when I was a kid. I just think it's it's visually really good. I think the effects to me were an improvement over the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the Chucky doll and the way that they shot him and the way that he was just, I don't know, just there's a lot of great stuff. And like you were saying, like with the score, it's probably the best in the series, and I love the fact that I know you haven't seen it, but in the TV show, they actually use a snippet of the score anytime like they first put up the title. And there's just so much I loved about the second one. I love the character of Kyle and Andy's relationship with her. And there's that one teacher that the actress, she plays a bitch in almost everything.
Yeah.
And like I said, when Chucky attacked her and just that low angle shot looking up at him as he's walking towards her with the yardstick or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And just I feel like it's more of like because like the first one definitely had a lot more story to it and a lot more suspense to it, whereas the second one is a lot more fast paced. It's a lot more straight to the point, and I think it's a little darker than the first one as well, and it works really well as a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing on with Andy, and then it kind of evolves Andy a little bit from because he's starting to fight back towards the middle of it. You know what I mean? Like he's determined to go down into the basement with the meat cutter. He's determined to face Chucky on his own. And then it's got a lot of great one-liners. Hey Phil, how's it hanging? I love that line. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
No, that's okay. There's a few great scenes too in the movie. Like I don't remember the other doll's name, but when Chucky, there's that. First of all, that doll falls out onto Andy whenever he gets to the orphanage, whatever it's called.
Yeah, the Tommy doll.
Yeah. So and then eventually, Chucky has to bury him under the swing set, and then Kyle's out there on the swing set and kind of undigging the corpse, if you will.
Yeah, that's actually that's a great scene too, because like every time her feet like sweep the dirt, they go to Chucky's face and his eyes just keep getting wider.
Yeah.
A
little bit of tension in that scene, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great moments in that movie, and like what's the guy's name who plays the father, the halfway home father, or not halfway, I don't know what to call it. Graham something or other.
Yeah.
He plays Bud the Chud.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great bit actors in this movie, but I really like the bonding between Kyle and Andy in this movie.
Yeah.
Garrett Graham, there it is.
Yep.
What?
What?
Garrett Graham?
Yeah, he plays Bud the Chud.
Yes, he does. Yes, Garrett Graham, that's it. You're right.
Yeah.
I was just looking up too to see who would get there faster.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. There's one of my favorite scenes in part 2 is actually kind of Kyle is following them in the car, I think, and Chucky has Andy in the back of a truck, and she's honking the horn and everything, and Chucky just gives her the bird. Now, when we were kids, when we rented this for the first time, that made me laugh my ass off so hard that we kept rewinding that part, and the way the motion of the puppet or whatever it was really just fucking kills me. It's hilarious to me, in my opinion.
The total South Park reference too. Fuck you, guy.
Oh, well, that's before South Park, though.
Obviously.
Yeah. I was thinking of the guy who played the stepfather in Stepfather horror movies. Guess that was the guy from Lost. I can't think of his name. He's
Terry
also.
O'Quinn?
What's that? Terry O'Quinn. Is that what you said?
Terry O'Quinn. Yep.
Yeah. But no, Garrett Graham. I'll see if I can find a picture of him.
Might as well be a butt of Chud picture at this point, but no. Or TerrorVision. I think he was in TerrorVision too.
He was the dad in TerrorVision as well. You remember, Jared, when I started the Horror Syndicate and I talked about one movie that I was totally scared of and I couldn't remember the name of it was, and it turned out to be TerrorVision?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
I think I was the one that helped you come to that realization.
Yeah, TerrorVision's not scary at all. But
at all. No, it has monsters and weird stuff in it, though, so I could see how it would freak a kid out.
Yeah, it was the bed scene, the scene where they're like in bed, all the parents, all the adults are in the bed, you know. Like, anyway, I don't need to go through my childhood trauma right now with TerrorVision.
Tell us more. We have 30 minutes left of your allotted time, sir.
Oh, okay. Anyway, no, I want to talk about Child's Play too. Your thoughts, Jared. What are your thoughts on this one?
This is as I alluded to a little bit ago. This was the least one I've seen of the first three. I don't know why. I don't know how. And that goes to like even like the Friday the 13th series. Like when I think about it, like how many of those sequels did we see all the time on USA and stuff growing up? Like 4, 5, 6 were always on USA. Like when I would go through and do our when I marathon run up, I don't even watch some of those movies anymore because I remember watching 5 and 6 so many times growing up, and that was the same with part 3 of this franchise. So, and I don't know how number 2 missed the cake, but I didn't do my research enough, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, well, we didn't have much time to prepare. It's been, I didn't even know I was going to be able to do the show when I was sick, so I was like, you know, yeah, I don't know. It's okay. 2's good though. It's got a lot of great stuff happening in it, and some of it's paid off in the later movies too. Side note: we need a 4K release of Stepfather movies. Yeah, I don't even know if those are on Blu-ray. I haven't seen those in forever. Either any of you guys?
Not in a while.
Do what now?
Seen any of the Stepfather movies?
Nah. Never seen them.
I think they're streaming somewhere. And I thought about watching them one day, but I never got around to it. But I do have good news. I do have really good news for anybody who cares.
You save 50% on your car insurance by switching to Geico?
No. First of all, for some reason, I can't like save a picture of
either that or he got an email or a voicemail about a car warranty that's about to expire.
No, I just wanted to show everybody Bud the Chud. That's all. There he is. This is a review I did of Bud the Chud on thehorrorsyndicate.com if you ever want to check that out. It's not a good movie at all, but that's Garrett Graham right there from Chud 2, Bud the Chud. One of Mike Lombardo's personal favorite films. Anyway.
Which apparently he saw a bunch of the different settings from the first Chud movie. When
he did. He posted. Yeah, that's right. Dude, every Halloween, they play all the Chucky movies on USA. Yeah, apparently they're putting them on Peacock and stuff like that. I don't know what that was for, but LOL, Seth. LOL.
That could have been anything he said because everything is awesome, he says. So, yes.
That's what I hear.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't ever see these movies as movies to watch in October, though. So
I watched all of them right before the show premiered. That was last time.
When was that? That was last year, I know that, but like
that was
August?
No, that was it was January, I think. January, February the show premiered.
I was gonna say late last year, very early this year.
I need to get on it then. I need to watch that show.
Yeah, I want to say it was earlier this year that it premiered.
When's season 2 coming?
soon. They started shooting it already. So
Damn, they're gonna be shitting these farts out pretty good.
I wish you would just go back to the movies though.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way.
You feel like the show could be a completely different thing?
I love the show. I think the show's great, but I really want that condensed hour and a half long story.
Right. Instead of elongating it and thinning it out.
Elongating.
That's what she said.
Not anybody I know. Anyway. Yeah. So Jared, it sounds like you need to rewatch Child's Play too.
No, I did, and if I hadn't went to go see the new Top Gun movie this afternoon with Beth and the kids, I probably would have had time to.
I saw that at the drive-in the other night.
It's a fun one, man. Have you seen it, Seth?
I have not. I've been debating on it. I'm actually I've never really been too big on the original. I haven't seen it in years.
Same here.
But like everyone's raving about the new ones. I'm like, fuck, maybe I should go see it.
Same here. Not huge. I'm not a huge nut about the first one. I mean, it's an enjoyable movie for what it is. Sorry, it's not horror related, folks, but hey,
that's okay.
It's worth watching, guys.
Yeah, it's worth watching. Yeah, I'd like to see it again, not at the drive-in. Yeah, I feel like I was missing something, and there was a scene I missed because I went to the bathroom. Anyway,
you never go to the bathroom during a movie.
I usually don't, but I had to pee. Am I missing something, forgetting something? But do they explain what happened to Andy's mom?
Yeah, kind of. Like they mentioned in part 2, the reason why Andy had to go into foster care, and they actually tie this into explaining the way the cops too, is that even though she was telling the truth about what happened, no one still really believed her. Like they mentioned that the cops, Detective Norris and his partner, they both kept their mouths shut. They played it smart because they knew that no one was going to believe them. But Andy's mom backed Andy's story, and so they were separated, and she was sent off for psychological evaluation. And
he basically goes into DCF.
Yeah, pretty much.
Child services for a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. That's actually realistic.
But then in like the post-credit scene of Curse of Chucky, when they had that one scene where Andy cameos, he's on the phone with his mom. So
yeah, so she got out at some point.
And with the way that Mancini keeps bringing people back, fingers crossed, man, that her and Sarandon both come back.
For some reason, I feel like she's above all that after her Seventh Heaven and all that stuff. Like maybe.
No, I think I don't know if she still is, but she was married to Kevin Yeager. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know who Kevin Yeager is,
I have no idea what you guys are talking about right now.
Andy's mom. She was the mom in Seventh Heaven, a show that was on like the CW or whatever it was back in the 90s.
Oh God, is that like One Tree Hill type stuff?
No, they're like the dad's a minister, and there's like 7 kids or some shit. Jessica Biel was one of them. That's about all I know. I didn't really watch the show. I just remember the theme song because my brother used to sing it throughout the house. 7 Heaven.
What is happening?
Yeah.
I can see that though. She seems to play a good mom.
Yeah, I don't know that she's doing anything. Like I haven't seen anything at all that she's been doing anyway. I don't pay attention to what she's doing either. So like that's part of it. The guy who played the dad got yeah, that's true. The minister, he was a fucking total creep.
He really got
into Seventh Heaven?
Yeah. He had 7 kids in the show, and apparently he liked touching kids. Before we wrap up with the second movie, though, I do want to talk about the end, because we didn't touch on the end, the chase at the factory, and what happens to Chucky, old Meltface, That's I think that really wraps up a great movie, in my opinion. The end of that movie really was really good, and it led to a theory. Well, the beginning of the third movie led to a theory for me for the cult of Chucky that turned out to be wrong, but I think would have been better.
They should have done it. They should have
I
done
know.
Do you remember my
right?
theory? Do you remember my
And
theory?
I know where
Well,
you're leading
I have an
to.
idea of what you're talking about because I had the same idea because I hated the whole fucking voodoo-for-dummies.com bullshit that they did.
Yeah.
And it's just like you could have used the beginning of Child's Play 3 to explain why there's multiple
Yeah.
Chuckies.
That was my theory. So we'll get to that in a second, but let's talk about the chase scene, the scene where Chucky takes the knife and puts it into his arm, and then he gets all mangled up and melty, and then it's just a great chase scene and a very good ending to that movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about the beginning of part 3. So we're moving on to Child's Play 3 now. And but I don't know. I think I'm lost without Nate.
We just didn't have a game plan, that's all.
We really didn't. So we're just kind of going by the seat of our pants here.
Nate who?
I don't know.
Hashtag Nate who? This Nate, he's okay. He's gone, but he's not. He's missed, and he's not gone for long.
So at the beginning of Child's Play 3, they reopen the factory, blow off all the dust, and they start mixing all the plastic together. And they take this little crane thing and pinch Chucky's body, which is still like melted onto that board thing, and it's missing his head and all that stuff. And as it picks it up, blood starts leaking out into the vat of plastic, and it starts swirling around to start the credits. Okay, so my theory was when they did the Cult of Chucky was like, okay, maybe that with Charles Lee Ray's blood in the vat of plastic, maybe that all these other Chuckies that pop up in that movie are from that, molding that, from that plastic, because his blood got mixed in, and instead of the Voodoo for Dummies thing. That was my theory going into the Cult of Chucky, and they totally missed an opportunity. Don Mancini, whatever his name is.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just for me is a huge missed opportunity. It's like and completely obvious, spreading the blood around in the I don't know. What do you guys think of my theory? That would have been better, right? Rather than the Voodoo for Dummies bullshit. So 3 is weird because there's a time jump of about 10 years or so.
8 years.
8 years. Barkley is going off to military school now.
So he's only supposed to be 16 or like
15. Yes. He's 16 in Child's Play 3. And interesting thing, I don't want to before I cut you off, Ray. Before I forget,
go ahead.
Because of that, because of him, because of the 8-year time jump. Mm-hmm. That would put Child's Play 3 in 98, so that means Bride of Chucky and Child's Play 3 happened in the same year.
Interesting.
Mind blown.
I don't remember how Chucky gets ripped apart at the end of Child's Play 3, and somebody. How does she get him again? Tiffany.
She basically bribes a cop to pull the bag of all of his chopped up bits out of evidence.
So it could be legit. And the good thing about Child's Play 3 is there's no like it was made in 91, came out in 91, but there's no year identifiers really, if you think about it, because they were at the military academy the whole time.
Military academy.
Yeah, the only thing that could be a giveaway for what year it is the fair at the end, but everybody's wearing the same stuff all the time. Chucky wants to be a bro.
Yeah, well, they say in Child's Play 3 that Andy's 16, so he was 6 in the first one, so it's 10 years later. The first one was in 88, so
yeah, that makes sense. I didn't even think about that, the timeline, and is that why they don't call them Child's Play movies anymore, because of the studio jump? From whatever to Universal?
No, because that came after the first one, so it was when it went from MGM to Universal, they were still Child's Play. It was still Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3. But by the time that Bride of Chucky was getting made, that was in the post Scream era, so it was, they were trying to do like this meta thing.
Meta stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Interesting. Okay, so what do we think of this one? I know it's the not the best compared to the other two. The time jump. I mean, they had to do something different, right? It couldn't have been Chucky trying to chase around a little kid, the same little kid again. And I was always okay with it. I liked part 3 for the most part. It was different. You got a whole new group of characters. Chucky got to play around a military academy. What do you think?
I personally, I still like it, right? I don't hate it. It's not the worst in the franchise by any means. I put Curse and Cult above it on my list, but I really do like Child's Play 3. Again, it could be kind of bias on my part because I saw it a lot as a kid. But I also like how there's a role reversal here with Andy. So now Andy becomes the protector of a kid instead of being the kid who needs someone older to protect him.
Right.
And then, Chucky finally having a new body now, so he doesn't need to stick to that rule where it has to be the first person he told, so he's got a little bit more free reign. I really dislike some of the script and the fact that I never went to military school, but I don't know how much they, quote Full Metal Jacket all the time, but it just kind of annoyed me, like how dead on they were with quoting Full Metal Jacket. But I love the whole thing with Chucky replacing the paintball, the paintball guns with real bullets.
Yeah,
and,
5 rounds. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Whitehurst, being the original Captain America jumping on a grenade. Really cool stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really. But back then I wasn't as harsh a critic as I am about. I mean, because it's still not really that good. It's almost a skippable movie anyway, except for you need to find out why Chucky's face is all fucked up in the Bride of Chucky and moving forward. But yeah, I think I don't know. I think I like part 3 for the military stuff's kind of fun, and let's do this kid. Okay. Yeah, I could see that. Tyler was that his name?
Yep.
Yeah. I like the line, Chuck. I get to be a
He only got annoying when he was like, "Hey, Chucky."
Charles. He called him Charles.
Oh, that's
My
right,
friend
Charles.
Part 3 is funny when you're drunk. Oh.
I also love when Chucky's like jumping out and there's that one older
The general or whatever he is.
General, yeah, and he has a heart attack. And he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah, that's a good part. Yeah, I guess we don't really have much to discuss on this one, do we? Like, Jared obviously hasn't seen it. Is this the one everybody watched on USA?
This was the one I've seen the most of all of the Chucky movies.
Really?
Yes, because it was on USA. Seemed like all the time. At least it was always playing whenever I would come across USA. I don't know. Maybe I just had weird timing. But for some reason, and it's the same way with part 5 of Friday the 13th. For some reason, those 2 movies I saw the most out of any of the sequels. I will always, and they still, I'd have to watch the first 2 movies 20 more times just to catch up with those.
That's a lot.
But I do think it's kind of cool though, because they kind of did. They took a page out of part 6 of Friday the 13th. Paintball gun warfare or paintballing wasn't a big thing, but what is it? We're in 2021, 30 plus years ago. People weren't paintballing that much. It's kind of an interesting idea. Yeah, that got 8 regulations.
He's going to shave Chucky's head, wasn't he? That's the dad from Hellraiser too.
Yeah, Andrew Robinson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his haircut. He was going to shave Chucky's head. Even though some of those people had flat tops in them. They're supposed to have flat tops.
for what the movie was, it was like you guys were talking about, it was a complete detachment of the original story. Obviously, it was 10 years later. Not really sure how Chucky found him. I don't remember it that much, like what he did to find him. But it's a. Go ahead, Seth.
I was just going to answer that. He, when he was first rebuilt, he was sent to the CEO of I forgot the company name in the movies, but after he killed the CEO, he got onto the guy's computer.
Oh,
yeah, that
okay.
was the opening. That was after the
Gotcha.
after the
Yeah,
what we'll call it.
Which is more realistic than most sequels. Makes more sense than most sequels, anyways.
Are the TV cuts different than the theatrical cuts?
I would assume so.
most likely.
I mean, there's stuff cut out, but like in Halloween, I know they probably didn't film scenes for TV, but
Just
like
shut him down. I'll be right out.
he's just a killer actor. But yeah, like I don't know. I guess I really don't have much to say about the third movie.
Did you guys like the third act, the whole thing, and the sort of like the carnival thing that was going on?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cool. Like, I really liked
Once they escape the war games. Yeah.
Yeah, after Whitehurst blows himself up. Yeah, I thought that was a cool scene, and I liked the end of Chucky, and I part of me wonders if like it was meant to be the end of Chucky, because it almost seems like that would be a great way to end all that, him chopped to pieces by this fan that is way too exposed.
Yeah, I could see that where it was a trilogy. I mean, because they did, because Child's Play 2 and 3 was 90 and 91, but then there was 7 years before they did another one with Bride.
Right.
So.
Yeah, what do you guys think of Bride?
It's fun.
You like it better than 3?
Oh my god. No.
You don't remember, Jared?
No, I don't like it nearly as close as part 3.
Dolls have sex.
Yeah, and they shouldn't have big tits either.
Like,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, Bride of Chucky, though, like
It is fun though.
It's a totally fun movie. It's a totally competent movie. It's got a lot of good lines and a lot of stuff. There's some bullshit in it, like Charles Lee Ray did not die with an amulet on. That's total retcon bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, he doesn't need Andy anymore because they could just dig up his body. That was dumb. But Bride is fun. I remember being really excited when that came out in theaters. That was the first one I was able to see in theaters. And I embarrassed myself in front of a couple chicks, but it was fun.
How'd you embarrass yourself?
I had a big bag of Reese's Pieces, and
It's a good
go to
start.
open them. It's struggling because I'm a weakling, and and all of a sudden I just hear these two chicks are laughing hysterically.
Could have been worse.
Yeah.
Could have been like the time that I was seeing Pet Sematary in 2019, and I had my hand on the thing, and the girl grabs my hand, and I'm like, like, what do I do? I'll never forget that moment. I probably could have gone home with a date that night if I would have said something. Anyway, I never cared for Bride until more recently, and then Seed was the end of the series for me. Like I said, I couldn't. That movie was so fucking dumb in so many ways, and like when they brought out Curse in, I think it was 2013. I'm like, is this a remake? Because it felt like a remake, and then later he reveals his face is still chopped up and shit.
Yeah.
And Fiona Douglas. Yeah, it was really good actually. I thought Curse, and especially Curse, got the series back on track after Seed. I mean, it took them 9 more years to get to that point, and then Cult was really good. So it's the fun thing about what they did with the Child's Play movies was they kept it all one continuity, like Phantasm. So.
Yep.
You can think that Mancini guy, like, he did have a little bit of time to take off and maybe realize what he did wrong with those two movies. I mean,
Maybe he came up with an actual idea, like to carry the series on past 29 or 2017 too, because he's got the show, and I'm sure he's got. It's not just him writing, but yeah, no, I thought the.
oh wait, it may happen.
Yeah, just wait. We will see. The first three movies still scares me. Still, I wish I could. Oh, really? The first one was like 3 hours long? Do you know about that, Seth?
What's that?
She said something about MGM lost all the original scenes and it was going to be 3 hours long. I guess there could have been a 3 hour long cut.
Oh, I'd probably imagine so. I mean, like, that's pretty standard when they make a movie and they first put together a cut. Usually they're really long and then they chop it down for length and pacing. But Curse of Chucky is my third favorite in the franchise, and it really kind of brought me back because Seed was so disappointing that I was still excited for
Mommy, Daddy.
Yeah, I was still excited for Curse, but I was very skeptical, and it kind of blew me away with the way they returned to horror, and it really corrected the franchise, and it proves that just because there's one bad entry or two, depending if you don't like Bride or not, but you could still come back from that. You could still do a good sequel even after doing a bum one. So there could still be a Nightmare on Elm Street sequel in the original continuity. Freddy's Dead didn't have to kill it.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, and that's why the Curse was so smart. But like again, Curse, what Curse did that was so well was made it fresh again, and yeah, it didn't. It felt like a remake at first until you find out, later what happens, and it was really fucking good. I thought.
Mancini dropped a lot of the comedy and the meta bullshit, that he had in Bride and Seed,
right.
And he focused Curse as a horror movie, and it worked in his favor. I'm sure he listened to all the complaints because Seed of Chucky was his directorial debut, I believe. So,
yeah, Oh my god.
I remember being excited.
I mean, that movie was funny, but god damn, was that a turd.
Yeah.
A little bit. I'm glad that I don't know if I don't know if we'll ever get the chance to cover all those other movies or not. So I figured we'll talk about them real fast. We're gonna watch Cult and Curse at some point. Not me and you guys. I'm talking to somebody in the face.
They know.
They know.
They know.
I already said that earlier today anyway. But yeah, and then Cult of Chucky, like I said, I had my hopes because of my theory of the blood and being mixed in with all the plastic, and there could have been an army of Chuckies if you really wanted to. But I still liked it for the most part. It was a different type of movie, just like Curse was a different type of Child's Play movie. A lot of fun, a lot of different personalities, if you will, and when it starts getting going, because it's a slower movie compared to both of them are really, but like when they start getting going, they get going, and they're good. And I'm thankful that they didn't just wipe their ass with the series and just reboot it at some point. And I mean, we do have a remake, and the remake's whatever. I want. Are they ever going to make a sequel to that? Do you think?
It's possible. I don't know. I mean, there's so many possibilities with it. The weird thing about that remake is that this is something I mentioned, I think, in the review I wrote for it for the horrorsyndicate.com. Check it out. Is that I was kind of mixed on it because, like, I didn't feel like it needed to be called Child's Play. It didn't need to be Chucky and Andy. It could have been its own IP. It could have been its own different doll thing with AI that comes to life. There was nothing that really needed to be Child's Play. But then I mentioned that to my buddy Mike after we went to go see it, and he asked me a really great question, which is, but would you have gone to see it if it wasn't called Child's Play? So I don't know if I would have. I don't know if I would have went to the theaters to go see it. I went into that movie like mad about it. I was mad about the whole situation, about it getting made,
Mhm.
because Mancini was still doing his. But
Mhm.
I was pleasantly surprised that
Yeah, I was too.
it was entertaining.
Mhm.
It just didn't need to be child's play.
Yeah. So it'd be a different doll and a different hair. I mean, not a ginger, and that's what you're saying.
Yeah, they could have designed something new. I mean, because there's not much to really tie it to child's play, because they didn't do the Charles Lee Ray story. They just did a AI that was corrupted.
I mean, they could go back and do that if you think about it. They could change the way the doll looks, and if there's a sequel.
Yeah, but I don't think they can legally call it Child's Play 2, though, so they'd have to have a different name.
Well, I mean, I don't think they'd be doing that again anyway. But anyway, let's wrap up this episode if you guys are ready to, unless you want to stay all night long. What like overall the Child's Play series? What do you guys think? Like, what are your what do you call? What do we call them? Finishing thoughts, final thoughts. There we go. It's been a while.
Who's going first? Jared?
Jared.
Lastest thoughts.
I always go last.
Yeah. So, if we're gonna talk about like our final thoughts on the what's been made in general, already, I haven't seen the newest one, so I'm just gonna disregard that one. But as a franchise itself, I still think it's very good. It's got serious. It's got its wholesome fun. It's got a great storyline for 2, 3 of the movies. Curse and Colt definitely really brought it back to the beginning, and I think that's what saved it, in my opinion, because, like we've already discussed, like it started to go off the rails at that point. I mean, don't get me wrong; those movies are fun as fuck, but they're just kind of dumb, really.
Yeah.
They're fun, but they're dumb. Not horror movies. I mean, sure they are, but you guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we ever got any comments on what would our, horror Mount Rushmore be. There's only 4 faces on Rushmore, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a history major anymore. I used to be, until I flunked out. But I wouldn't put it on my Mount Rushmore franchises, so to speak, but it's definitely up there.
So, but I think in the grand scheme of these big franchises, it's definitely Child's Play is a heavy hitter for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, and I want to know in the comments below, anybody who's still watching or watches this later, let us know what your favorite Child's Play movie is in the comments, because I definitely want to know. I forgot to ask that early on. If it's 1, 2, if it's Seed, or for some reason, let us know in the comments below. Seth, what about you for some final thoughts?
As I mentioned before, I love this franchise. I've always loved this franchise since I was a kid, so I do have a lot of bias for it. I think it's a really consistent franchise. If you ask me, there's only really one bad one in this franchise, and that's Seed. Mm-hmm. Everything else I can totally watch multiple times, and I have. I know this series pretty well, so I personally would put it on my Mount Rushmore, I suppose. But I understand if some people don't.
Sure.
I just really appreciate the fact too that it's just like Phantasm. It's one of those where you got the same person who's involved with every movie. There's a kind of a linear storyline, you know what I mean? So I think it's probably one of the last pure franchises out there for horror. I don't know. I just really love I love Chucky, and part of it is my own sense of humor. I prefer I like a lot of dark humor, and Chucky is very sadistic, and some of the way that he says stuff. He's really an asshole, and I love it. So I kind of gravitate towards the character because of his personality. I'm sorry. I wish I was a little bit more prepared and thought more through this whole discussion, but I love these movies. I look forward to the season 2. I would recommend the TV show to you guys. It's definitely worth checking out if you're even if you're just a moderate fan of this franchise. It's worth checking out. It continues on the storyline from the movies, so it is part of it is connected, and I don't think it'll disappoint you guys.
Yes, very good. I mean, it was a series that I kind of abandoned in the 2000s, and after seeing Seed, and it bugged me quite a bit, but Curse brought me back, and I remember after seeing Curse, I think it was on Netflix at the time, I saw it, and I went out, and because I didn't have them in my collection, I went out and bought the first 3 movies. Actually, no, I think I bought a collection of them. It was like, through Seed or whatever. And I got back into the series, and then eventually they released another box set that I actually really like. It's the yellow one Jared's talking about. I don't think you can see it. It's yellow. It's back there, below your Leatherface. But yeah, I think the first one still will always be my favorite. But I do love 2. The first 2 are the best, no doubt. The hands down 1 and 2 of the series, if you're going to ever rank them. But I really love certain scenes in the first one that really stick out, like Aunt Maggie's a bitch, or Chucky said Aunt Maggie's a bitch. The scene where Chucky reveals himself to second one is my favorite, although it's missing Chucky calling Annie's mom a stupid bitch. That's the best part of the movie. that's my favorite part of the whole movie. But yeah, I like these movies quite a bit. As far as Mount Rushmore goes, I don't know if I put Chucky up there with Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers. I think I'm leaning towards Pinhead. I love the frickin' Hellraiser movies quite a bit, especially the first 4, and maybe 5. And eventually we'll get to talk about the sequels on one of the shows. I know Seth's been itching to. We'll probably have to do that before Nate comes back. And I know, Jared, we did a 3-hour episode in the first ever show we did of the Hellraiser movies. I don't know if you remember that or not. But they all bleed together if you watch them all in a row, so I have to space it out. We'll have to figure that out.
I watched them all recently. I'm prepped and ready to go for that.
There you go.
Bloodseeker is not as bad as you think it is.
Hellseeker. No, it's not. Kirsty's back, and she's the only one that can.
And you got Mayhem in there too for a little the entire movie.
She gets Pinhead in the palm of her hand.
She's just being an insurance adjuster at that point.
Oh man, I get what you're saying. Fucking Dennis Duffy from 30 Rock. I just don't understand Andy as a kid. If Chucky was coming after my son, he'd be screaming, not whispering, "Mommy, Chucky's still alive." No. Time to revisit the Child's Play movies, maybe. I haven't watched them in a couple of years, so I might go back and rewatch a couple of these. We are going to be back next week after a week off. We only did 2 shows in May, so June we'll try to get back on the horse, or whatever you want to call it. Every Wednesday we'll be here talking horror. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week, but
Hellraiser 1 through 4.
We could. I don't think I need to watch them again to talk about the first 4 Hellraisers. Jared, what do you think?
I don't need to rewatch them. I'm down already.
Well, okay, there you go. Hellraiser 1 through 4. So almost the first half of the series, because there's 10 of them, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. Technically, we've already done a full episode on the first movie. So if you want, we can just do 2, 3, and 4.
We'll talk about the first one a little bit, but definitely, let's do that since. Nate's not going to be around. While Nate's away, the mice will play. Anyway, anything else before we go, guys?
What? No, I got nothing.
I'm
glad to be back, though, because it feels like it's been like a month and a half since I've been on the show. Might have been, actually, because I don't think I was on any of the shows this last month.
Well, we didn't have one twice in I can't remember why we didn't have a show earlier in the month. What was going on?
You were busy.
I was busy.
We'll just go with that.
What was I doing?
Nothing.
Oh, I was on vacation that week, and I was
vacation.
Well, yeah, I was on vacation. I wasn't out of town or anything like that, but it's funny though because that night I took the episode off to be with a certain someone, you know, and
That's what I mean. Vacation.
Well, it's funny though. No, it's funny because that like the way that everything worked out is she came over later that night, and I could have done a show that night. So, whatever. It's in the past. Moving on to Hellraiser next week, 1 through 4. So if you want to talk some Hellraiser, jump on in. We'll discuss Pinhead, the Cenobites, Kirsty, the Lament configuration, all that good stuff. Clint popped up just to say he's missed you. I didn't know he was even watching. I don't know if it's accurate to say how many people are watching right now. It says 5 people are watching, but I'm seeing a bunch of other people pop in and out. So, anyway, Seth, anything before we go?
Just Evil Dies Tonight.
Jesus Christ. Hey, we got a little bit over 4 months till Halloween ends.
I know, right? If they say that like once in that movie, I might lose it.
I don't think it's going to be in the new movie.
I don't think so either, but I'm just saying, like somebody in the background, like it's like South Park. Evil Dies Tonight.
Oh, I bet you we hear it in the theater when we go see it in the theater.
Yes.
I'll be that asshole. I'll be that asshole.
You're going to be that asshole? Right when the credits start?
Yep.
All right, guys. It was good seeing you. We'll be back next week with another show at 6:30 Central Standard Time. Follow us on YouTube or subscribe on YouTube. Tell all your friends about us on Facebook. Hit the like button because that helps us on both YouTube and Facebook, if you please. If you don't, then you're dead to me. So we'll see you next week. Have a great night. Watch horror. Have a great weekend, bitches. Bye.